now simulating some different greases on a Timken-style bearing tester, the same type of machine that we use to test the Revive. The way the machine works is on a cantilever mechanism, which simply means every time you put a 1 pound weight down here, transfers the load up and across the arm, right to the point of contact at approximately 35 foot-pounds of pressure per weight. We're going to use a C62 hardened bearing because if we use a bearing much harder than this under extreme pressure, it could have a tendency to shatter, and if it's much softer, just flatten out, and we wouldn't be able to do a test. So what we're going to do first is we're going to use the grease that they use here at American Pulverizer, and I've got Milo with me, the shop foreman. What kind of grease are we going to use for this demonstration?
Currently what we're using for grease is we're using an industrial grade duralithium grease that's made for extreme pressure, but we'll see how that holds up.
Okay, can we get a sample of that?
Sure.
Let's actually coat the racer. Start with a fresh bearing, no weights, and we're going to see what kind of load or pressure this grease can handle before it actually flattens out and you end up with metal-to-metal contact. Permanent lockup with 3 weights. Let me show you the scar mark that was created. I'm going to walk this towards the camera. Hopefully you can see that. Okay. Now what we're going to do next is we're going to turn it to a fresh bearing face, and I'm going to clean off the machine, and we're going to do an apples to apples test. But this time we're going to use impact grease manufactured by Lubraloid. Now this is a bentone base with a micro moly and it's fortified with Revivent. Extreme pressure, extreme heat, and extreme water resistant. So give me just a second and let me clean off this race. Alright, I'm going to have Milo go ahead and apply impact. And if you notice when he applied the first grease, it took him a little while to get it to actually coat thoroughly. Just put a little bit on your finger and go ahead and coat that. A little difference in coating action.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. And I've turned it to a fresh bearing face. You can turn it just a little bit more because I don't want it to hit that other scar mark. And we'll start from scratch. Now the grease that we did first, locked up on 3. Difference?
That's a little bit.
Let's take a look. One thing I want to point out, with the first grease, when it locked up, there was no grease left. Now we're at 20 weights, 700 foot-pounds, and that can be broken down to pounds per square inch. We're at excessive load right now into I can't be precise until I actually measure the scar mark, but we're in excess of 1,000,000 PSI. Let's wipe this off and show you the difference. I'm going to try and hold this steady. Can you see the difference between the first scar mark and the scar mark with impact? That reduces wear, which extends equipment life, which is what you've talked about all afternoon, and all the variety of equipment that you use in this facility.
Correct.
Now, I've got to move a little bit of this grease back to the center because I'm going to take it to a few catastrophic situations. Talk about extreme pressure. And moisture. This is just plain drinking water. We talked about extreme protection in catastrophic situations, contamination, moisture, and I know you've had some problems with the machine because of moisture contamination.
Yes, we have.
That's with 20 weights on there, running in a cup of oil. If I leave it run for a little longer, that water will actually start to boil out of that cup. But I think that shows, I'll show you that we haven't really created any more damage, but I want you to take a close-up of this cup. There's no grease in it at all. The grease is still where it should be, protecting the equipment. I'm trying to hold it steady. And still, no additional damage. And that's even shock loading it and running in contamination with 20 weights versus the commercial industrial grease we just tested that locked up on 3 weights with a huge difference in wear. Okay? What I want to do next is show you the difference how different greases handle heat. And in order to do that, we're going to use a little melon spoon. Can we fill this up with your grease?
I think so. There's enough pressure left in it.
Oh yeah, okay. And we're going to create fire. Can I get you to hold that for 1 second for me? And we're going to simulate elevated heat factor. When the equipment gets hotter, the grease starts to thin out and actually leaves the area that it's supposed to be protecting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can see how it liquefies and it's just leaving the area that it's supposed to be protecting. Now let me dump this out, and I'm going to do the same thing with impact. Well, actually it took about, what, maybe 10 seconds? Yeah, before it started to liquefy. So that gets pretty hot. I've lost count. It's about 40, 42, 43, 44. about 50.
These machines are in a very devastating atmosphere, you might say. They're constantly crushing things, and they're in a very bad environment. Anything we can do to make it last longer will benefit the customer. So that's why we're changing over, and we're definitely going to go with the Impact and the Revive.
Okay, so I guess that's about it for today.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for your time.